Thank you guys for joining us. This is us again, Voices of Mass Discussion. We're glad that you could join us. And for our audience, we have something just a little different today. We're doing a chat, an interview chat with an author. Her name is Miss Sharon Carson. And of course, we have part of our team, Voices of Mass Discussion, Miss Maureen Forte from In the Know with No.
Good evening, and so glad you were able to tune in. Again, I'm Maureen Forte of In the Know with Mo, and I want to take this time, thank you, Rhonda, and welcome our guest, Sharon P. Carson. I also want to thank the Village of East Hazel Crest Library District for sponsoring this table chat, and also the Homewood Library for hosting us in their facility.
Yes, and then for those of you guys who are not familiar with the library, you need to come out and visit. Very nice place. And we have some lovely ladies that's going to join us as the discussion goes on. And the name of her book, for those who are not familiar with Miss Sharon Carson, and can we imagine anybody not knowing who you are?
Well,
but just in case, the name of the book, and we're so excited about her and the book. She and I were talking earlier about how catchy and how timely the subject is. Act like a lady, but think like a man. And then our guests, we have some very astute young women here who's been married for quite a few years. So I can't wait. Maybe I might even get a boyfriend out of this. Okay, Miss Sharon Carson, thank you for joining us.
thank you for having me. First of all, let me thank Ms. Maureen Forte and Rhonda B. Woods for having me here tonight. Such a pleasure to discuss my book. I am the author of the book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. I copyrighted this book in 2004. And I'd like to just tell you a little bit about how I came about the idea for this book. I read an article one day about a woman whose husband was having an affair. And this woman went to all types of extremes to save her marriage. She had liposuction, she cooked his favorite meals every day, had sex 3 times a day. She just did everything. But in the end, her husband still left her. And I thought about that. And I thought about all the women who, not only in a marriage situation, but in relationships, had gone through things like this. And I thought about the scars that they carry from this type of situation, the bitterness, the anger, the vindictiveness, things that they take into every successive relationship, to empower women to understand one thing, and it is this. You are complete with a man, and you are complete without a man.
Amen.
And so it took me about a year to write this book.
Okay.
I write only as I'm inspired to write. I don't just write frivolously. It has to make sense to me. And so it took me about a year to write this book. I was writing on airplanes. I was doing a lot of traveling at the time. And finally, I got through the book. So I wrote the book. And I titled it, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. And some time ago, about a month ago, I started getting calls from people. First of all, let me say that I was really promoting the book. I did seminars on the book, forums called Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man forum, where I would call in a bunch of women, and I would have a panel of men, and I would put numbers on the men. And the women would be able to pick a man and just ask him a question, any question that they wanted, because you can always get an honest answer from a man you don't know. But a man you're in a relationship with, you're not going to get an honest answer. And I really wanted these women to get honest answers from these men. So it was very exciting forums. And I was looking forward to doing them all across the United States. And let me say that they were international forum. I had Asian women in there, African, all types of women. Because heartache is heartache no matter what body is within. It feels the same. A toothache feels the same in everybody, and a heartache is the same way. So I was very encouraged when a lot of different women showed up. And I bought the domain name for the name, actlikealadithinklikeaman.com. I put up a website, I was selling my book, and I was really excited about the way I was progressing in promoting this book. And then I started getting these calls and emails. Sharon, Steve Harvey stole your book. Steve Harvey's coming out with a book the same title. And I'm like, let me check this out. So I did a little research, and sure enough, the book was coming out, I think it was January 27th, and I went down and I bought the book. And I took a lot of time to read the book. Matter of fact, I read it twice. And I didn't have to read it twice, I just wanted to read it twice. Went to the library just so I could read it. And I noticed that right away, I knew it's like your home. A person can come into your home and they can shift around a lot of furniture. Mm-hmm. They can buy some new furniture. But you're going to know your house when you see it. And I knew my house when I saw it. Mm. A lot of things in the beginning of the book, he had help writing this book, so let me say that. I'm just telling the truth about this thing. I know he had help writing the book. He mentions that in the book. And a lot of things people on the outside would not notice. But I noticed it because I wrote the book. That's not to say that he took my book verbatim or anything like that. It's just that here's what Steve Harvey did. He copied my title exactly. Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. I copyrighted January 20th, 2004. I copyrighted my entire book.
Right. Okay.
January 20th, 2004, United States Copyright Office. You can check that. Mm-hmm. He took my theme, which was to empower women by giving them some understanding into how men think in terms of a relationship. That's the entire theme of his book. And my format, his book is formatted so much like mine. And I can go through it, especially in the beginning, and I can see things that a very astute writer went in and changed so many things that it's like if you say something and it changes so much you wonder, did I really say that? But I know what I'm saying because it was my book. But what appalls me so much is as I got into the book, not so much so many things that are alike. It's the use of the title to promote something that I didn't intend the title to promote. Mm-hmm. As the book progresses, especially at the very end, mm-hmm. the title, when I thought of this title, it was to empower women. But as Steve Harvey's book progresses, it does not empower women. As a matter of fact, it belittles women. And so that's why I am really appalled, because my title is being used to promote something that I did not intend for it to promote. And therefore, he has marginalized my book, but he cannot marginalize my message. When Steve Harvey, throughout the book, he says, act like a lady, act like a lady. But he'll never define in the book, I can't find it, what it means to act like a lady. I defined it very clearly in my book. To act like a lady is not about manicures or pedicures, high heel shoes or hairdos. To act like a lady is one who exudes self-confidence. She accepts and appreciates who she is, both inside and out. In the context of Steve Harvey's book, he does not define that. Now, let's get to the Think Like a Man. In the way I read Steve Harvey's book, Think Like a Man means that you need to learn how a man thinks in terms of his likes and dislikes so that you can please him, and therefore, as a result, by default, you have this loving relationship that you seek. When I put the title Think Like a Man in, it was to help to tell women that they need to understand how tough-minded men are in relationship. That's why I designed this cover. I designed it myself. I had an artist to do it. This woman in a boxing ring. She's in a fight.
That's right.
And I wanted them to know how tough a man can have 10 women. Mm-hmm. Leave each of them and move on. A woman will pine and whine. All 10 of those women will pine and whine over that one man for another 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I wanted women to understand that they need to be more tough-minded. But you see, I originated the title, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. Therefore, I understand it. I had a message, and then I gave it a title. Steve Harvey copied a title, and then he sought to find a message.
Now, are there any legal happenings with this? Because this is such a hot topic, and when we sent this out that we were interviewing you, I mean, we got all kind of responses, and we had to, not even talking with you, we had to tell them, well, this is, what we had from you, the copyright date and everything. What's the legal status between you and Steve Harvey?
I was at my attorney's office this morning. I have two of the best attorneys you can ask for. And I'm really not in a position to really say a lot on that matter.
Okay.
But what I can say to you is, as sure as my name is Sharon P. Carson on a United States copyright dated January 20th, 2004, litigation will proceed.
Okay. And I've read your book. I've read it, and I'm very inspired. I'm a single woman, and there's a lot of things in here. First of all, I want to know, like you said, a man can have 10 women, and I want to say, wow, what about me? You see what I'm saying? The biggest question is, why do men cheat? And it's not because they can or we allow. It has to be something that really caused a man to want to cheat.
Well, Steve Harvey and I, that's one thing we definitely both came to the same conclusion on, why men cheat. I wrote in 2004, I have a chapter in there, why do men cheat? Why would a man cheat on a good woman? And my conclusion is very frank, boom, they can because they can. Steve Harvey has a chapter, why men cheat. His conclusion, same verbiage as mine, because they can. Now, your question was that you feel that there needs to be an explanation for this. Rephrase your question for me. I really want to answer it.
My question is, because I feel that I'm a very intelligent, very outgoing, very aggressive. Maybe aggressive is the reason why. But want to know why men feel so intimidated by women that they find it necessary to go out and have affairs or cheat, and they have someone who is just as capable or better.
They don't.
Let me ask you a question. Are you married?
I've been married for 41 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
I don't think that, I'm just offering my opinion. Of course,
right.
I'm not a marriage counselor, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I think I have some good insight, a lot of spiritual insight, and I seek wisdom in everything. If you bounce a ball on the floor, I'm going to seek some wisdom out of that. What can I learn from that? So I'm very astute in that way. I don't think that the reason a man cheats can always be linked back to something that was done to him or something in the relationship or whatever. I think that women have so minimized, unconsciously might I say, have so minimized their value that men have consciously become aware of that and they are maximizing their opportunities. This is what is happening. We have lost sight of how valuable we are, what we bring to the table, no pun intended. But when we start to put ourselves back on that pedestal, when we turn ourselves back into the diamonds that we are, men seek diamonds, they seek gold. I just let me read my diamond in the rough thing to you real quick here.
Now, while you're looking for that, do you feel, based on the fact that you are from a long-term marriage, that there's something that someone could do in a relationship that their particular mate will not cheat? Or do you think it's a random thing, a luck of the draw?
I think that in this environment, when women do not care...
But men been cheating off that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you can go back to Abraham if we want to go back that far. But when women don't care if a man has a wedding ring, I mean, when we're living now, where we've got to the point where the word woman is almost synonymous with the word be. When we're in a society now where we're dancing to music where they're calling us be, it gets back to we have just lost sight of our value.
But they've been cheating before that happened, though. They've been cheating since the beginning of time.
Right. Okay. So what is your question now?
I'm just saying, I'm just asking.
Do I think
I
what?
don't have a husband.
Okay.
But
do I think?
Ed never did.
That's
We know
probably
we used to
why.
have
That's probably why you don't have a
No,
husband.
I always tell my friends when I try to tell them their husband is a jerk, I say, and let me caution you that I've never, nobody even married me long enough to divorce me.
They don't cheat by themselves.
Exactly.
Right. They don't cheat by themselves.
Okay. So that's why I'm trying to.
There's
There's always a woman.
Right. You're right. Right.
And well, in this society we live in
It
now,
not be-
maybe a man, because we had gone out one evening to an affair, And you know, you checking the brother out on the other side, and he was checking out the guy I was with.
Oh.
You know, so we have a whole lot going on in our society. So it's two sides to the story. Like you said, they don't cheat by themselves.
And I told you before we started, I love that title, the concept. I love the whole book. But it's interesting what you just explained and enlightened about how the other book that the other your competitor has written, how the concept is so different. So that too lends itself to your title about how men and women think differently.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I just want you to read this. Now, Steve Harvey in his book, you know, my book talks about God a lot through there. It ends up with God. Okay, and Steve Harvey sprinkled that in his book. And I'm not questioning his spirituality. I'll be the last one to do that. But listen to this. This is directly from his book now. He said, this is the story of one of his really good, he said, this was certainly the story of one of my really good friends. His wife found about his woman on the side, and she left him and went to her mother's house for 7 months and took her son with her. Dude was miserable. I mean, he was losing weight. We would go by and get him and say, let's go out and have a good time. He would tell us, hey, I don't feel like it. We even offered to take him to see the woman he had on the side in the hopes that at least getting some from her would make him feel a little bit better. Now, this is not, a woman would not have written. What about that? My book would have come from the perspective, what about that woman?
Yeah.
And that child.
She had to
And the
leave
child.
her husband with her child. When a woman got to leave her husband with her child, it's something wrong. It's something bad went down in that, okay?
And it affects both.
It affects both. And then we got a man here that really wants to get back with his wife. So my book would have come from the perspective of, that woman is hurting. Not let's kind of please this man. He's feeling so bad. Let's take him back and put him back with this woman that he got him into trouble in the first place. That's the difference from thinking like a man and thinking like a woman.
And then too, though, by Steve Harvey being a comedian, do you think he was trying to add a comedic flair, or do you honestly think? Because it seems sort of.
I think Steve Harvey wrote it just like it happened.
Like you think, yeah.
We can draw our own conclusions, but he wrote this just like he.
No, I understand this.
Yeah, he wrote
that
it
based
just
on
like
what
it happened. Now, let me just give you another idea of thinking like a man, okay? Because when his book migrated into him really getting back to thinking like this man. Okay, he picked up on my theme about women respecting themselves, blah, blah, blah. Women are buying into that. And that's what I want. I'm happy about that. Steve, I'm happy about that. Because that's really my thing.
Steve, we're happy.
We're happy about that. But then, because you didn't really understand the title, you started migrating into something like this. Listen to this. This is about a successful woman. I'm quoting verbatim. If you've got your own money, your own car, your own house, a Brinks alarm system, a pistol, and a guard dog, and you're practically shouting from the roof that you don't need a man to provide for you or to protect you, then we will see no need to keep coming around. At some point, you'll just have to be that big old strong lonely woman, or you're going to have to back down and just be a lady. That's Steve. But when I copyrighted my book, wrote my book in 2004, this is what I wrote. Some men are afraid of your success. They will focus on all of your faults to overshadow their own. Turn up the fire under your dreams so high that no one can pour enough water on them to put them out. Let me just go over one other thing to show you the difference between a man's thinking and a woman's thinking. Steve got back to being that man. Now here we go. Steve wrote, if you're telling your man you want a nose job and he sees nothing wrong with the nose you already have, then maybe you ought to think about leaving your nose alone. Why run the risk of something going wrong when your man is already happy with the way you look? Why lose that extra weight if your man is happy with the way you are? Now I'm quoting verbatim. Here's what I wrote. That's what Steve wrote. Here's what I wrote. If you're overweight, losing weight is a wonderful idea for many reasons, including your health. But when you embark on a weight loss program, do it because it is something you want to do and not just to please the man in your life. If it makes him happy in the process, that's great. But he might think you need to lose 50 pounds and you might be happy with 5. The most important thing is for you to be happy with yourself and to make changes based on factors that are important to you and how you want to look and feel. For some women, it is more important to walk, talk, look, dress, and think like the way the man in their life wants them to, rather than to please themselves. In the end, these women often become someone they hate in order to please someone they love.
That's right.
Or think they love, I should say.
Good.
And that's very evident
I read that,
when
but
we
yeah,
go
better when she
to
said it.
meetings. We'll say, "Oh, this is Mrs. Tommy Jones," instead of saying, "This is Mrs. Mary Jones." You know,
Yeah.
because now the husband and wife, he has a name, but the wife also has his name. You know, you're Mrs. Tommy Jones. Well, you know, give her her name. You know,
She has her own
she
identity.
has her own identity.
Right, she has her own identity. Who?
Oh no,
Well, it's never too late. It's never too late. And then just one more contrast I just want to bring in here, because this is really my pet peeve.
She's all.
Steve has been on the Oprah show
Yes.
talking about this 90-day rule. This is what Steve writes. A woman should give a man a 90-day probationary period before she gives him some benefits, meaning sex. He said, Steve that is, he got the idea from working for Ford Motor Company because you had to wait 90 days before you got some benefits. My question to you, ladies, and to ladies in the viewable audience, how can we as women let a Ford Motor Company analogy, a corporate analogy, determine how long we wait before we give up something that is tied to our very souls? Something that when lost for the first time can never be found again.
Yes.
A Ford Motor Company analogy. And women are buying into this. 90 days, that sounds good. 23rd is on.
But you know what, when I heard him say that, to me, that leads into I can say I love the concept of the book, but I didn't read Steve Harvey's book, but the foolishness of how they're portraying it to me. This is me now, my husband himself. But because that's sort of, I just thought it was goofy, and I think it's goofier when the women are sitting there like it's a good ideal.
Yes.
So that means while you're taking John and he's counting his 90 days down, so then what is he doing? He hasn't committed to you. And so on day 89, when he knows it's his turn tomorrow, he's still not in a relationship with you in his mind and in his heart.
Right.
He just count down the days, and so he's still sleeping with whomever else until it's his turn. It's not like he's made a commitment to wait for you for 90 days.
But women they're buying into this 90-day thing. They're loving it. You should have saw them.
It's goofy.
They're loving this 90-day thing. And this is not,
But see,
Steve
that's
Harvey's
from
not
a
joking
male
about
perspective.
this.
Yeah, but as I say, but there again, from the male perspective, like there's some kind of magical number that if a man doesn't have sex with you for 3 months, then it's going to make him what on the 90th day?
Right. It's just so stupid of an analogy.
Right, that's what it is.
But see, the problem is that women are so desperate
But
for
then he had
answers.
sex with all these whoever else.
Until the 90 days.
Yeah.
Right.
And my perspective, and this is sort of like me talking about people, kids too, and my friends always saying, and my mom especially, how many kids have you raised? 0. Never had any, never even lost any. But I still have opinions about kids. And so I have an opinion about relationships that I don't have. So my perspective about this act like a lady, think like a man, in the waiting and all that kind of stuff, is that the relationship needs to be based on the parties and not all these rules and the 90 days and what happens on the 89th day and the 90.
Exactly.
Because based on what Steve is telling us, and based on what we know about history and that guy who did the book about the hunt and the hunter.
I don't recall that one.
The play about the man as the hunter and the play and the woman as the huntee or something. But anyway, based on the caveman theory. So this is what I take from all you guys' theory about these 90-day things. That if the man is the hunter, and so the thrill is in the chase. So while he's waiting, counting down his 90 days, then by the time it's his turn, he's angry at you for making him wait. So he's going to do his 90 day. That's why so many women say he never came back. So I don't.
I'm not familiar with that particular. but 90 days, a dog can hold his bark for 90 days if he think he's going to get fed. Okay? You can train him that way.
I think the biggest thing is in relationship must be built on trust. You know, and I think you touched on this. And the individual, right.
A person will date you, and then later in life, if I meet him and he dates me, he's attracted to you for a totally different reason than he's attracted to me. So to me, this is my opinion, the rules and the settings will be different.
Well, I'm not going to date the same guy. I'm telling you that now.
No,
I know you're just using
right,
that.
but the rules and the settings will be different because the outside, if he was attracted to you, you know, vice versa. But if it ever came out that way, that the settings would be different. The reason why he was attracted to you would not be the same reason why he was attracted to me.
Well, that could very well be. But I think women really limit themselves. You know, when I had forums with the women, I would ask for a show of hands, how many people were in a relationship? How many met that man in the same city, state? You could even break it down to neighborhoods that they lived in. Probably 90% of them would raise their hand and say, yeah, I met him in the same city, same neighborhood. My question to you, if you had been born and raised in Canada, does that mean you would never have had a man or whatever? No, you'd have married a Canadian. Africa, an African, Brazil, a Brazilian, Australian, so forth and so on. So I want women to expand their thinking to understand that they have many possibilities for a mate. Exactly. It's just simply that you're more likely to meet one right where you are. Yes. And he doesn't have to be a continent away. He can be a zip code away. And then how often is it that a person has been in a bad relationship? I had a neighbor who's been in a real bad relationship. His wife had a child by another man. He was devastated. He was devastated to the point that he told me he had a broken heart. I understood that. But it manifested itself to a real physically broken heart. I mean, his heart actually went bad on him. But after about a year, he got met and married again. And he felt like, oh, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. So you see what I'm trying to say? You know, love is like energy. You can't destroy it. You don't lose it. You don't have so much of it. Where if you give it to this person, that person, you're going to drain yourself out. It always replenishes. It's like, what is the word I'm looking for? The word is not replenish, but it's like, it just recycles itself. You know.
Recycle.
Yeah. So that's my whole point to women.
Do you, based on your research and the women that you spoke with, do you believe or feel that the public, a lot of people you spoke to, believe that there is a soulmate, that's that one person in life?
Yes, I believe a lot of people feel that way. And that's the mindset I was trying to get them out of.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people feel that way.
So you feel if one relationship don't work, open yourself up because of somebody else.
Right. I feel women feel a lot of times this is the only man in the world for me.
So that may be why you take the mistreatment or the abuse.
Right. You think you're not going to find anybody.
That's another story. That's another tape.
And see, men have been holding women into relationships, bad relationships a long time like that. You know, they think, I'm overweight. I'm not going to find anybody like that. You know, and the whole thing with the book is love yourself. Yes. Love the totality of yourself. The inner you, the outer you. Love it all. Because no man is going to love you if you don't love yourself. Nobody is going to love you if you don't love yourself.
And they have to look at the language on how they speak of themselves. You know, girl, what you doing? I'm home alone. I'm here. But
that is very true.
But I'm not home alone. I'm home with myself.
Yes.
And I am the best company I can have. And so my self-esteem, of course, is way up.
I know. I'm so.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is the lady that needs to be sitting over here, and I sit over there.
And so we have to look at the language on how we speak of ourselves.
But how were you raised? I want to ask you that.
I was raised in a household with mom and dad.
And what did your mother, I mean, did she teach you about self-esteem, or is it something that you really just kind of caught on to yourself?
My mom taught us about self-esteem. I came from a mixed family, and my mom never did come out the house.
Okay.
So my father worked, my mom never worked, but we were raised, whereas because it was a mixed family, you're no better or worse than the next person if you light or dark. And we always were confronted with somebody had better hair than the other, or this child has good hair. My mom said they all got good hair. Bad hair is when you're bald head.
Yeah.
So self-esteem, but as I continue to grow, I continue to educate myself.
Yes.
And I've got out here, and that's why I'm just so in the midst. And meeting a mate for me didn't come from my neighborhood. I met my children's father. I was married for 7 years. I met my children's father in Seoul, Korea.
Is that something?
And he was in the service. I was over there entertaining the troops, and that's where I met him. And my mother said, "Girl, why in the world would you go all the way to the other side of the world to find somebody who I later divorced after 7 years?" You know, but the bottom line is, love knows no zip code.
No, it does not.
It has no direction.
No.
You know, all I know is that love is in the heart.
Yes.
So, but now I'm looking again.
What about your self-esteem?
My self-esteem is fine, but I don't have a husband. From a female perspective. Now, do you feel that men, the ones that are problems, because every man is not a problem in a relationship, but the ones that have problems in a relationship, do you feel that it's intentional, or it's just that men think so differently from women that they don't perceive the problem the same as women?
Okay, intentional in terms of what? What being intentional? You mean intentional?
Being a problem in the relationship.
Being a problem in the relationship. Do I think that a man intentionally becomes a problem in the relationship?
Or is this...
No.
Especially if he has a mama. We get into those mama boys.
Yeah, well,
I gotta go and do this here for my mama. People would say, well, if he's good to his mama, he'll be good to you. Sometimes that mama can get in the way of
Very
him
much
being
so.
good.
But I tell women, you know the old saying, they say, you marry a man, you marry his family. No, you don't. And if you married his family, sometimes you got to divorce him.
That's right.
If you married him, you got to divorce. I didn't marry my husband's family, I tell you that right now. I married my husband. So that's the way I look at it. You know, but you got to know, women, I always say women know what they're getting.
Yeah.
But they think they can change what they're getting into what they want.
Exactly.
Because whatever that man is, that's what he is. You know, and that's just my philosophy about it.
It's a good one.
It is. It's a fact. You have to decide what it is you want as a woman.
Yeah.
You have to decide what it is you're going to put up with.
Yes. Yeah.
All the little do's and little don'ts and whatever, and go forward from there. I expounding upon your theory about this. You can't change anyone. You wouldn't want to change anyone. Would you want somebody to change you?
Exactly.
So why change them?
Exactly.
What you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get.
And in the relationship, when you develop a relationship, once you get on, you will see the true colors of that person come out. And women have a tendency, well, you know, he demonstrated this to you on the first second date. You just didn't pay attention.
Exactly.
But if you look at it and pay attention to what is going on and what he's asking for, this is not for me. And the big thing, what I think women, they sit there and just stew in the relationship and just deciding that this is not for me. Let me get my hat and leave here.
Exactly.
Or send you on your way.
Right.
It's okay.
It's okay
To make a mistake.
Yes.
Because we're not perfect.
You don't just stay there because you're embarrassed or you don't want to, the family, you so used to seeing the two of you together or whatever. You know, sometimes you got to go.
That's right.
But see,
But
women don't.
relationships take work, though. So
Oh yeah, they take work. They take work. But let me say this before I lose my train of thought. Women are jumping in relationships so quick, they don't give a chance to really know what that man is like. And that's a big problem right
Who
there.
are they jumping on the with? Men not that plentiful.
Oh, well, you know, man can have 2 or 3
Depending on
women.
what kind of man you're looking for. As an African-American woman, you're probably looking for an African-American man. Maybe they're not plentiful, but you just can't say, well, this is the type of man I want. I just want a man, period. I don't care if you're black, white, purple, one eye. You see what I'm saying? So African-American men are not plentiful because they're locked up.
Yeah, but that's not.
I mean, but you,
African American friends.
but I'm just saying, you just said that they're not that plentiful.
I mean,
but
on both sides of the aisle.
But they are plentiful. There's a lot of men out here. But I'm not going to go out here. I mean, you have to be out here networking.
You need to tell them the line. Cause no,
you need to be out here and you have to network. You have to be out. They're not going to come and ring the doorbell and say, hey, baby, I've been looking for you in the house. So you have to be out here where people are. And, well, Rhonda, I mean, we're everywhere in the world.
I agree with what you're saying, to the extent that get out there, but not out there with the focus that I'm looking for the man. Get out there with the focus that, you know what, I'm going to get involved in this, I'm going to get involved in that, you know. Oh, yeah. You're going to get involved in this, get involved in that, you know, and then that man.
Yourself.
Yeah, that man will come. You know, I call it waiting to be happy.
Yes.
Can I just read this for you?
Yes. I am so excited.
Just let me read this.
While you looking for that now, my background, my young life I spent, you know, operating a nightclub. And so, of course, in nightclubs like the barbershop.
You operating a nightclub?
I told you.
I'm shocked. Wow.
No, they used to call me Alice. But anyway, but in the